Hey guys, tonight we're heading into the quiet, candle-lit chamber of a high-born medieval woman. You sit down at your vanity table, the wood polished by time and routine, and in the flickering glow of tallow flames, your reflection stares back at you, ghostly pale, almost saintly, but not quite pale enough. That's why your hand is already reaching for that familiar porcelain jar, its lid stained faintly from years of use. Inside, a fine white powder clings to the rim and puffs softly into the air like smoke from a dying fire. This is your first beauty ritual of the evening, and perhaps the most dangerous one. You dip your fingers in and begin to apply it delicately to your skin. It's white lead, and it's slowly, irreversibly killing you. Paleness is everything. Pale skin is wealth. Pale skin is status. Pale skin says you don't till the fields or fetch your own water. You are not burned by the sun. You do not age from the labor of life. You are protected, admired, untouchable. The more ghostly your face, the more noble your soul, or so they say. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to know where you're tuning in from and what time it is where you are. Drop it in the comments below. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You swirl the powder onto your cheeks, under your eyes, across your brow and chin. The mirror, distorted slightly with age, reveals something radiant. You don't just look fair, you look ethereal. But this dust is not harmless. It's made from ceruse, a mixture of vinegar and powdered lead that's been soaking in earthen pots, sometimes buried in dung heaps, to speed the chemical reaction that turns metal into pigment. The smell is sharp, metallic, sour. It gets on your fingers, in your throat, into the fabric of your sleeves. You pat it into place, careful to avoid the already flaking patches on your neck. Those you'll deal with later. Every woman at court does this, and more than a few men. Nobility demands appearances, and appearances demand sacrifice. You've heard the stories. The lady who coughed blood after applying her makeup for too long. The countess who went blind in one eye when the powder got into her tear duct. But they always looked stunning at banquets, didn't they? No one remembers the sore gums or the shaking hands, just the elegance. That's the part that survives the memory. Historians still argue whether people truly knew the dangers. Some believe the upper class had an idea. The sickness of the skin, some called it. But they lacked a true understanding of toxicology. Others insist vanity overruled reason. After all, what is dizziness, fatigue, or internal damage compared to the chance of being called beautiful? You don't question it. You feel a little tired these days, yes. Your joints ache more often. Your memory skips occasionally. But that's probably the winter air. Or too much wine. It couldn't be your makeup. Everyone wears it. The Queen herself wears it. Queen Elizabeth I is known for her ghost white face, smooth and even like painted porcelain. Few know that she layers this very powder until it forms a mask, sometimes so thick it cracks when she speaks. But beneath it, her skin is ravaged, scarred by smallpox, blistered by the very lead that conceals it. And still, she wears it. She must, because to rule is to appear immortal. And immortality, it seems, comes with a heavy coating of slow death. You don't sleep without your makeup either. It's not just for show. It's a symbol, a shield. You prop your head up slightly, resting against a bolster so your face doesn't smear onto your pillow. The pillowcases are linen, embroidered with your family crest. They smell faintly of lavender. They're also tinged with powder residue, because even when you're resting, the lead doesn't stop working. You breathe it in at night. Tiny flecks fall into your mouth when you yawn. Sometimes you wake with a bitter taste in your throat, sometimes with headaches. But beauty requires consistency. Removing the makeup every evening would be wasteful and risky. Water opens the pores, they say. Bathing invites illness. No, better to keep the mask on. Better to be always ready, always composed, even in your sleep. Your chambermaid knocks once, silently opens the door, and brings in a small silver dish of rose water. You nod. She lifts a soft cloth to your cheeks, pressing gently to absorb any oil that's broken through. Then, with powdered fingertips, she reapplies a final dusting of lead. She avoids your eyes now, not out of disrespect, out of concern. She's seen the same in her aunt, her mother, her former mistress. They all started to look a little tired around the eyes. Then came the hand tremors. Then the breathlessness. There's a saying whispered by the servants. The whiter the skin, the sooner the coffin. You've heard it. You've laughed it off. It's probably just peasant nonsense. What would they know about fashion? And yet, as you lie down once more, face to the ceiling, lips just slightly parted to avoid cracking the corners of your mouth, you can feel something inside you shift, a heaviness, not the comforting weight of blankets, but something internal, deep and slow. Your heartbeat feels slightly out of rhythm, just slightly. You ignore it. That's the key to noble life. Ignore discomfort, dismiss weakness, sleep with your poison face and wake up looking flawless. But beneath the powder, the cracks are already forming. Your gums bleed a little when you brush. Your fingernails are thinner. You've started forgetting things, tiny things, but still. The price of beauty has never been so literal, and you pay it nightly. With every breath you take, with every hour you lie still, the lead works deeper into your skin. You are becoming beautiful, yes, but also brittle. You shine now, like a statue, and like a statue, you are slowly turning to stone. You glance at your reflection again. Your skin is now flawlessly pale beneath that mask of ceruse, the lead-based powder pressed delicately into every crease of your face. But looking pale alone isn't enough. You need color. Not too much, of course. You're aiming for a gentle flush, as though you've just stepped away from composing a delicate love letter near a drafty window, not like you've just hauled buckets in a barn. The fashion is subtle, but essential. Glowing cheeks, the very image of delicate vitality. And so, you reach for your rouge. It sits in a small container, corked tightly and hidden inside a box wrapped in linen to protect it from air, moisture, and perhaps from your better judgment. Inside, the contents shimmer faintly red, almost glowing in the candlelight. You pinch some between your fingers, mix it with a little grease, and dab it onto your cheeks in gentle circles. Almost instantly, they bloom with color. Life. You look radiant, alive, youthful. The illusion is complete. The danger, of course, is just beginning. This isn't rose petal or beet juice. This is cinnabar, mercury sulfide, not just a poison, a slow, creeping destroyer of organs and sanity. It was known in ancient Rome, revered by alchemists, handled cautiously by miners, and now, here it is, decorating your cheeks like crushed velvet. The effect is stunning. The consequence is invisible. For now, within an hour, your teeth start to ache. Just a little. Your mouth feels dry, your tongue coated in something metallic. You sip watered-down wine, trying to wash it away. You think maybe it's the cold weather, or too much roasted goose. But the truth is, the rouge you wear is slowly destroying your mucous membranes. The mercury travels from your skin to your bloodstream, from your bloodstream to your gums, your stomach, your brain. You smile at your reflection. You don't see the damage yet, not in the mirror. But if you looked closer, you might notice your lips twitch slightly when you talk. Your voice shakes more than it used to, and the skin just under your eyes has developed the faintest purplish tint. Exhaustion you can't sleep off. It's all subtle, deniable. You reassure yourself. Everyone looks a little tired at court. Historians still debate whether these rouge formulas were universally toxic, or if some were safer blends made from crushed insects or madder root. Perhaps some women wore natural rouge, and others the more dangerous luxury of mercury-based brilliance. But court records mention skin ulcers, shaking hands, gums turning black, symptoms dismissed as melancholy or nervous disorders. No one suspected the rouge, or if they did, they said nothing. After all, what else could you do? Beauty, in medieval society, is not just personal pride. It's political survival. Your appearance can mean the difference between a good match and ruin, between being admired or forgotten. If your suitor sees you flushed and dewy-cheeked, he thinks of health, of fertility. If he sees you ashen and bare, he moves on. Your family depends on those cheeks, even if they burn with poison. The irony is that the more you reapply, the worse the damage gets. But you can't stop now. When the color starts to fade midday, you sneak away to your chamber, add more, and return to the feast looking refreshed. A few women go too far, like Lady Anne, who layers hers so heavily her skin peels beneath it. You heard whispers that her cheek began to rot, literally, a wound festering beneath a painted crust. But she still comes to banquets, smiling, nodding, careful not to laugh too hard. You can't tell what's real and what's makeup anymore. And you? You begin to notice something too. Your gums bleed when you chew. Your breath has changed. A sour, metallic tang clings to your mouth. You chew herbs to mask it, and no one says anything. But your maid has started glancing at you with concern. By nightfall, your cheeks are tender. They sting slightly under the powder. You feel warmth there, not the warmth of a blush, but something deeper, like infection. You sit very still and fan yourself. It's fine, you tell yourself. Just part of the beauty process. But the mercury doesn't stop. It moves through your blood, to your kidneys, your liver, your lungs. You sleep less soundly now, waking to odd dreams, sometimes with your heart pounding, as though you've been running. Other nights you lie still, unable to fall asleep at all. You don't blame the rouge. Why would you? It's so pretty. At court, people still compliment your look. "You're glowing tonight," they say. "You look so well rested," they lie. And you smile through aching jaws and raw gums, because what else is there to do? A bare face would be social suicide. There is no choice. There is no alternative. Even if you knew what the rouge was doing to you, and maybe, deep down, you do, it's already too late. The pot is half empty. Your skin has adjusted to the sting. And besides, you've seen what a colorless face looks like in candlelight. Flat, lifeless, common. You will never be common. So each morning, you apply the pale white lead, then the deadly rouge. You smile, you nod, you keep the secret. Everyone does. Your face is pale and rosy, the lead powder and rouge doing their deadly job. But as you lean into the mirror to admire the finished look, you spot something that strikes fear deeper than any battlefield wound. A small red blemish forming just below your temple, no bigger than a poppy seed, but in the candlelight it may as well be the size of a coin. You stare at it for a long moment, your pulse rising just slightly. This cannot stand. You set down your rouge and open a little wooden box tucked behind your perfume bottles. Inside, bundled in waxed linen, is your private solution, an ointment that smells like brimstone and old vinegar, sulfur mixed with a bit of lye, and sometimes, when your skin is really unruly, a touch of mercury. This is not meant for beauty. This is war. The ointment hisses slightly as you stir it with a small bone-handled spoon. It bubbles faintly in the cup like something alive. You dab a fingertip into the mix and press it against the spot. The sensation is instant, a burn that starts small, like a candle held too close, then flares. You blink, eyes watering. Your maid looks over from the corner but says nothing. She's seen it before. You hold the paste there for a full minute, maybe longer. The stinging turns to itching, then a tightness that spreads across your temple. Your skin is swelling. You tell yourself this is a good sign. That means it's working. After all, isn't this what you read in the old beauty recipes? Where the skin does hiss, the sin is cast out. Or maybe you made that up. Either way, it sounds convincing. The mixture isn't just sulfur. You've heard some women add ash from burnt bones or stale urine for better results. You haven't tried that yet. But you're not above it. Clear skin is currency. You've seen how people whisper about the Duchess with pockmarks. Even though she was once the jewel of the court, her suitors dried up faster than a puddle in August. 1 month, she had admirers. The next, none. A blemish can undo years of perfectly powdered power. Historians still argue whether these recipes came from physicians or folk healers. Some swear by old texts like Trotula or Hildegard of Bingen's writings, where medicinal and cosmetic treatments often blur. Others believe women passed these potions from mother to daughter, scribbled into the margins of cookbooks or whispered between veils. One thing's clear. These mixtures were made not for softness, but for chemical warfare against your own skin. By morning, the spot has crusted over. It's darker now, almost purple, but flat. You dab a little lead powder over it and tilt your face to the light. Better. No one will notice. You've won the battle, though your skin stings with every breath of cold air. That evening, your maid applies the treatment for you, this time to your chin, where another blemish has dared to emerge. She winces slightly at the smell but says nothing. Her fingers move with care. Too much care. You take the jar and do it yourself. Firmer, like this. You press until it hurts, then hold it longer. You can't afford mercy. Not for this. As the days pass, your skin becomes more temperamental. The lead dries it out. The rouge irritates it. The sulfur burns it. You notice a strange pattern. Your cheeks are raw in the morning, flushed red without makeup. You tell yourself it's the weather or your diet. It couldn't possibly be your nightly rituals. To soothe the damage, you begin mixing your sulfur with honey. It doesn't help much, but the sticky texture feels more medicinal. You read somewhere that bees are sacred. Maybe they'll take pity on your face. You hope so. One night, as you're applying the paste again, your nose begins to bleed. Just a trickle. No warning. Your maid looks alarmed, but you wave her off. It's nothing. Just dryness. You stuff a bit of linen up one nostril and keep going. The blemish near your jaw has blistered this time. You pop it with a pin, sterilized by flame. It hisses. You don't flinch. You've heard stories of noblewomen who go too far. One girl in Normandy reportedly burned half her cheek away after applying a mixture of sulfur, quicklime, and crushed garlic. The garlic, they say, was for drawing out impurities. All it drew out was screams. Another young woman collapsed at court after mixing her powder with alum. Her skin sloughed off in patches. But she died blemish-free. And isn't that something? Even you start to wonder how far you'd go. You lie in bed with ointment still crusted across your forehead, smelling like a dying volcano. Your sheets have yellowed from the sulfur. Your eyes sting. But in the morning, when the blemish is gone, when your skin is smooth again, you will feel triumphant, in control, whole. The irony is that none of this really works long term. The lead powder clogs your pores. The rouge irritates the skin. The sulfur burns your protective layers away. And the moment you stop, it all returns. But stopping is not an option. Your skin is a battlefield. Each day begins with reconstruction. You patch, you coat, you seal. And if there's a casualty, a scar, a blister, a scab, you simply cover it and move on. Because a smooth face, no matter how artificial, is worth more than a sound one. Always has been. You blink a few times, trying to focus in the dim candlelight. Your eyes feel dry, itchy. Not the usual sting of sulfur or the tightness from lead powder. This is something deeper. A kind of pressure behind the eye, a pounding just beneath the brow. But you've already powdered your face and painted your cheeks. The mirror shows beauty. The mirror lies. It's time for the final touch. You reach for a tiny bottle, no bigger than a thimble. Its glass dark and thick to protect its contents from the light. Inside, a clear liquid trembles like dew. Belladonna extract. You know the name. You know the other names too. Deadly nightshade, devil's cherries, murderer's berry. But you don't call it any of those. To you, it's just eye drops. Just one drop in each eye. That's all it takes. You tilt your head back, steady your hand, and release a droplet. It burns immediately, sharp and swift like vinegar in a paper cut. Then the world shifts. The pupils dilate, swallowing your iris in wide pools of black. You blink again. Your vision is blurry now. but your eyes look enormous, glossy, like wet glass, irresistible. This is the look. The drug makes your eyes wide and dreamy, soft with a kind of artificial longing. Your suitors will think you are shy, coy, deep in thought. They won't know it's the atropine tricking your nervous system, paralyzing the muscles that control your pupils. They'll think your soul is staring into theirs. Meanwhile, you're seeing two of them. Belladonna isn't a casual cosmetic. It's a literal neurotoxin. In the wrong dose, it causes confusion, hallucinations, heart palpitations, even death. But in the right dose, just shy of terror, it makes you look magnificent. You've heard of women who misjudged the amount and spent a week in bed raving about angels and fire. One courtier claimed to see her deceased cat walk through the garden and recite poetry. It didn't stop anyone from using the drops. It made them more desirable, in a way, like danger made flesh. Historians still argue whether belladonna was used primarily for cosmetic purposes or slipped into romantic potions and poisons. Some accounts say it was part of love charms. Drink a little, see visions of your beloved. Others swear noblewomen used it only in desperate cases, just before banquets or weddings. But descriptions of court ladies with unnaturally wide eyes persist through centuries. Someone was doing it. Maybe everyone was. You try to ignore the pounding in your temples. The second drop is setting in. Your pupils are so large now that your eyes can barely adjust to the candlelight. Everything glows. Everything flickers. You sway slightly where you sit, steadying yourself on the edge of the table. You feel warm, like you've had too much wine. You haven't. Your maid sees your eyes and nods quietly. The transformation is complete. She brings you your necklace and rings, small accessories to complement your look. You reach for them clumsily. Your fingertips tremble, not from nerves, just tremble. At dinner, the effect is instant. Heads turn. Even the steward glances twice. Your eyes glisten in the torchlight, reflecting like polished obsidian. When someone speaks to you, you smile, nod, gaze softly without blinking too much. You're listening, but you're not hearing. Your vision swims slightly. The fire behind them dances in a strange, erratic rhythm. You press your fingers gently against your collarbone and steady your breath. Later, you can't quite recall what was said. You remember laughing. You remember someone touching your hand. You remember trying to stand and realizing the floor had opinions. But it passed. Back in your chamber, you sit with the fire low, the vanity flickering with the remains of a single beeswax candle. You remove your jewelry. Your pupils are still wide, refusing to contract. The dark center of your eyes swallows almost all the color. You look haunted, stunning, barely human. Your chest feels tight. That's new. Your pulse flutters. You sit down carefully and let your maid unlace your bodice. She mutters something about your skin feeling cold. You say nothing. You're still floating. You've used belladonna often enough to know these feelings pass. Usually. There was one evening, after the autumn feast, when the dose lasted until sunrise. You spent the night watching your own hand move like it belonged to someone else. A mild hallucination, nothing more. You didn't tell anyone. Your lips are dry. You lick them and taste dust. You blink. The world is dim, but your reflection still stares back. Beautiful and soft. Dangerous. Belladonna doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself. You've grown used to the softness, the dreamlike shimmer it casts over everything. Reality becomes too harsh without it. Even your own face in natural light seems too sharp, too awake. You lie down at last. Your maid places a damp cloth over your forehead. You close your eyes, but your heart still races. There's a faint hum in your ears. You tell yourself it's the wind, or the fire, or just the palace breathing around you. You dream of shadows moving across the ceiling, or maybe they're not dreams. You try not to open your eyes. It's better that way. In the morning, if your eyes still shine, you'll be admired. If not, you'll simply reapply. One drop. Just one. Because now you know what people expect to see in your face. Mystery. Illness disguised as a lure. Poison wrapped in beauty. And you intend to give it to them. You wake with a strange taste in your mouth. Dry, acrid, like metal and ash. Your lips are parched, your head is heavy, and your eyes feel like they've been scoured clean with a scrubbing cloth. You blink slowly. The sunlight leaking through the shutters is too sharp, too harsh. The belladonna hasn't worn off entirely. Your pupils are still too wide, too slow to react. Everything is too bright. Everything hurts. Your maid enters softly and begins her work. She doesn't comment on your silence or the shadows beneath your eyes. Instead, she draws the curtains, dims the light, and opens a small wooden box, this one carved with flowers and vines. Inside lies a collection of colors, pigments and pastes, brushes and bowls. Today, it's time to color your lips. You reach for a crimson stick, pressed waxy and smooth into a neat little cylinder. It glows faintly in the morning light, bright as holly berries and twice as tempting. You pause, then draw it gently across your bottom lip. The color is perfect, bold, deep, a little scandalous. But that's the point. What no one tells you, what everyone knows and no one dares say aloud, is that your lipstick is laced with danger. Depending on where you are in Europe, the ingredients vary, but they are rarely harmless. In wealthier courts, like those of Milan or Burgundy, the most prized lip stains are made with mercury-based pigments, especially vermilion. Elsewhere, especially in more rural estates, women use arsenic-based compounds, crushed beetles, or powdered minerals soaked in wine or vinegar. And sometimes, to help it stick, they mix it with pig fat or even the resin of poisonous plants. You know this. Everyone does. The color is worth it. The first time you used this particular pigment, it tingled. Just a little. You thought it was the cold. The second time, your lips peeled slightly. Now, they bleed sometimes, just at the corners. You dab at them with rose water and reapply. At court, a well-colored mouth is more than beauty. It's communication. Pale lips are a sign of illness, or worse, disinterest. But a strong red lip is seductive. It says you are awake, alert, aware. You are ready to speak, or kiss, or command. Historians still debate how widespread arsenic-based pigments were in medieval lip color, but they do agree on one thing. Beauty products were unregulated, improvised, and often locally made. You relied on the wisdom of apothecaries, the gossip of older women, and the half-remembered recipes scrawled on vellum or passed down by word of mouth. If your cousin's lips turned blue and she fainted at the midsummer feast, that didn't mean you would. You were using a different formula. Yours is safer, probably. You rub your lips together. They sting. The color is flawless, and you're not done. To finish, you add a little shine. You melt a sliver of balm in a spoon and brush it over the red, sealing it in. The balm smells faintly of beeswax and lavender, but somewhere underneath is something bitter. Bitter and wrong. You've heard rumors about certain balms being mixed with poppy resin or hemlock oil, supposedly to relax the muscles in the lips, to give a permanent pout. You've never confirmed this. You're not sure you want to. At breakfast, no one says a word about your condition, but you see them noticing. Your lips are perfect. Your skin is flawless. Your eyes still shimmer faintly, thanks to the last traces of belladonna. You're the picture of elegance, and the picture doesn't tremble, even if the hand that painted it does. Later that afternoon, while reading in the garden, you begin to feel lightheaded. Not dizzy exactly, just unmoored. Your heart races for a moment. You press your lips together and feel them tingle. You sip water. It doesn't help. A dull ache has begun behind your jaw. You tell yourself it's the wind, or stress, or maybe you're just hungry. You're not. You try to eat at dinner, but chewing makes your teeth ache. The corners of your lips have cracked again. Tiny fissures. You excuse yourself early and return to your chamber. You remove the lipstick slowly. The cloth comes away stained with red and something else. Pink. Raw. Tender. Your lips look thinner tonight, the skin worn away in places. You touch the jar of balm, consider using more. Then you pause. You reach for a different jar instead, one with a slightly duller color, less shine, a safer pigment. It won't be as vibrant, but it might sting less. Might. But after a few moments of holding it in your hand, you set it down. Too pale. Too plain. Instead, you open the usual one, the dangerous one, the one that makes you feel powerful. Because your lips aren't just for speaking. They're a symbol. And symbols, like beauty, must be protected, even from common sense. You stare into the mirror as you reapply. The redness blooms again, full and perfect. You smile. There's blood on your teeth. You don't wipe it off. The mornings are becoming more difficult. You notice it first in your fingers. They're slower now, trembling when you pick up a spoon, clumsy when you fasten your brooch. Your maid offers to help you with the clasp, and you nod. You're not sure if it's the rouge, the lipstick, or the lead. It doesn't matter anymore. You've long since passed the point of separating symptom from solution. Still, the routine continues. You sit at your vanity once again, body aching but posture perfect. You've spent years crafting your appearance, and the armor must hold. Pale skin, red lips, flushed cheeks. It's all in place. But today, you want something extra, something subtle, yet divine. You reach for your egg whites. Yes, eggs, not for breakfast, for your face. From a small dish beside the lead powder, you scoop a spoonful of thick, viscous liquid. It glistens slightly in the light. Raw egg whites, beaten just enough to form a film. You've used them before to tighten the skin. The fashion now is not only to be pale and pink, but to be smooth and unwrinkled, youthful, poreless, doll-like. You smooth the egg whites across your cheeks, your brow, your neck. They tighten almost instantly. The sensation is like invisible thread pulling your skin upward and inward. A little uncomfortable, but you've grown used to discomfort. You wait as it dries into a translucent shell. It makes your skin shine just slightly, like porcelain. In Candlelight, the effect is mesmerizing. Egg whites have long been a part of medieval cosmetic recipes. Mixed with crushed pearls, powdered herbs, or even a bit of quicklime, they form the base of many face masks. Sometimes they're painted directly onto the skin beneath a layer of powder to create that smooth, taut finish. And sometimes they're left overnight. You've done both. Historians still debate the safety of these routines. On their own, egg whites seem harmless enough. But raw eggs harbor more than protein. Bacteria, including salmonella, can slip through even the cleanest shell, and when applied daily to open pores, many of which have already been scorched with sulfur or clogged with lead, they don't stay harmless for long. At first, you thought the weakness in your arms was from fatigue, but now, even walking to the chapel leaves you breathless. Your appetite fades. Your lips are cracked. You smell things no one else mentions. A faint sourness under your nose, like old meat left too long in the sun. No one speaks of it, but your maid uses more herbs around your bedchamber. One evening, after the usual routine, egg whites, lead powder, rouge, you feel something strange in your jaw. A tightness, then a slackness, as if the muscles forgot how to hold your face. You drop your spoon. It hits the floor with a soft clink. Your maid rushes in. You smile at her, or try to. The smile is lopsided. Your skin is too tight. She says nothing, just wipes your face gently with rosewater and begins the routine again. The next morning, you pretend not to remember. You try to write a letter, but your hand cramps before you finish your name. Your mirror tells a different story. A face flawless and pale, with eyes slightly too wide and lips slightly too red. A portrait of health, a mask of vitality. Your friends comment on how fresh you look, how elegant, how controlled. You nod politely, sipping broth through lips that tremble when no one is watching. You learn to move your face carefully. Laughing becomes strategic. Smiling is managed in halves. You no longer raise both eyebrows at once. It's safer not to. The egg white shell will crack. One night, you dream of a banquet where everyone is made of porcelain. They eat nothing. Their mouths open, but no sound comes out. You wake sweating, gasping, heart pounding. Your maid brings you a cloth soaked in rosemary water. You sip, you nod, you lie back down. Still, the morning comes and you go to the vanity. The egg whites are waiting. You know they're not the cause of all this, not on their own, but they're part of it. Another step in the careful destruction of your body in the name of perfection. You smooth the mixture onto your face, let it dry, let it tighten. You feel like you're being embalmed while still breathing. You hold your expression. You smile in the mirror. It hurts, just a little, but you look stunning. By now, your morning routine is closer to a military operation than a beauty ritual. Every step is rehearsed, calculated, and absolutely necessary. The lead for pallor, the rouge for charm, the lip stain for confidence, the egg whites for lift. But still, something's missing. You glance at your reflection. Everything looks lovely, yes, but there's no scent, no presence, no statement. You need perfume. You reach for a delicate glass vial filled with a cloudy amber liquid. The stopper is made of carved bone, and the scent inside is powerful enough to fill the entire room with just a single drop. It's your personal blend, something gifted to you by a merchant who claimed it was fit for queens and subtle as sin. You believed him. The scent is intoxicating. Rose, cloves, crushed herbs, and something else, something sharp. You touch it to your wrists, behind your ears, beneath your collarbone. It smells like power. It also smells like death. The truth is, medieval perfume isn't made from gentle flower petals and spring water. It's a complicated, often toxic brew of oils, animal fats, alcohol, and resin. Popular bases include turpentine, vinegar, or even ammonia from fermented urine. For binding, some perfumes use musk, extracted from the scent glands of deer, or civet from wild cats. Both substances must be aged in fat or oil to mellow their stench. You've smelled raw musk before. It made your eyes water. But once diluted and mixed with rose or myrrh, it transforms. It becomes elegant. Then there are the heavy metals. In some court circles, perfume oils are kept in metal flasks, usually pewter or lead-tinned bronze. The metals slowly leach into the oils, changing the chemical structure. Some believe this makes the scent deeper. Others believe it makes your lungs weaker. You haven't decided which is more important. But perfume isn't the only thing you apply to your body. Your hair must shine too. Your hairdresser enters, her arms full of combs, pins, and oils. You sit straight and still as she begins to work. First, she applies a rinse made of vinegar steeped with herbs, rosemary, sage, and mint. It stings your scalp. Then, she brushes in a glossing oil. It smells faintly sweet, but beneath that, you detect the unmistakable tang of lead. Yes, lead again. You've been using the same combs for years, fine-toothed and heavy, made from soft metal. Lead, again, is prized for its pliability. It doesn't break like horn or bone. It glides smoothly through tangled hair. Or at least, it used to. Now, your hair is thinning. The brush pulls out strands in clumps. Your maid gathers them without a word. Historians still argue whether the connection between hair loss and cosmetic poisoning was fully understood in the Middle Ages. Some suggest that hair tonics containing heavy metals were recommended by barbers and midwives alike, especially for unruly hair. Others think it was seen as a necessary sacrifice, better to have less hair than dull hair. No one seems to know for certain. But you have your suspicions. You've heard that in Italy, women use solutions of lye and quicklime to bleach their hair. You tried it once, just once. The pain was incredible. You lost a patch the size of a walnut near your temple. You covered it with a braided ribbon for months. Even now, you wonder if the glossing oil is doing more harm than good. But without it, your hair would look dry, frizzy, earthy, so you let your maid smooth the mixture through your scalp and twist your hair into soft rolls, fixing them in place with long pins. She dusts your shoulders with a fine rose powder, another touch of elegance. Then she steps back. You look perfect. And yet, the room spins just slightly when you stand, a rush of dizziness, a fluttering in your chest. You grip the edge of the table and smile through it. Your maid pretends not to notice. She adjusts your sleeves, ties your girdle, and opens the door. As you walk down the corridor toward the garden, the scent of your perfume trails behind you like silk. Heads turn. You feel beautiful. You feel powerful. You also feel faint. Your vision pulses slightly at the edges, but you keep walking. You sit by the fountain with the other ladies. One of them leans over and compliments your hair. You nod graciously. Another remarks on your perfume. "What is that scent?" she asks. You pause. You want to say something clever, but you forget the name. You laugh it off. When you return to your chambers later, the pillow smells like vinegar and herbs and something deeper. You lie down for a moment, your head heavy. You don't fall asleep. You just stop moving. A minute later, you rise again. There's still powder to apply, still rouge, still perfection to maintain. You touch your hair. A few more strands come loose. You brush them away. The mirror shows no weakness. Your reflection greets you each morning like a challenge. Not a warm friend, not even a rival. Just a blank canvas daring you to hold it together one more day. You lean forward slowly, examining your face. The lines at your eyes are deeper now. You smile. They vanish beneath powder, just like everything else. But tonight isn't just another evening at court. Tonight is a feast, an important one. Nobles from distant cities are arriving, and the hall will be packed with watchful eyes and sharp tongues. The stakes are higher, which means your routine will be longer, harsher, more dangerous. Your maid brings in your tools without speaking. You begin with the basics: ceruse powder for whiteness, rouge for liveliness, egg whites for lift. But tonight, you don't stop there. From the bottom drawer of your vanity, you take out a small wooden case rarely used. It holds your most powerful creams, those reserved for special nights. The concoction smells like crushed mint, iron, and old stone. Thick, grayish, slightly glittering. It's a blend of vinegar, alum, ash, and powdered tin. It's meant to create a luminous glow. Applied under candlelight, it catches the flicker and makes your face appear almost holy or spectral. You smear it across your cheeks and forehead. It tingles, not in a refreshing way, but with the acidic bite of something not meant for skin. You've used it before. You know it will flake by the end of the night. You also know it may leave a rash in the morning. You accept both. Your eyes have grown sunken lately, so tonight you'll widen them. You retrieve your belladonna. You pause for a moment, remembering how the last dose left you seeing double for a full day, but you apply it anyway. The sting is familiar now, almost comforting, and you don't stop there. For your eyebrows, which are now almost gone, lost over months of lead poisoning and overplucking, you apply a strip of fine mouse fur. Yes, actual fur. Carefully trimmed and dyed, cut to shape, and glued just above your brow bones using a resinous adhesive made of fish bladder and herbs. You adjust it with tweezers. The mouse fur shivers in the draft like it's still alive. To frame your new brows, you dust your lids with soot mixed with goose fat, a makeshift eyeliner. It smells faintly of chimney smoke and barn. You can't decide if that's nostalgic or horrifying. Historians still debate the full extent of medieval cosmetics, especially for nighttime events. Some argue that evening makeup was lighter to avoid smearing. Others insist the opposite, that noblewomen painted themselves more boldly after dark, using thick creams and theatrical touches that would glow under torchlight. Either way, you know what you see at court, and what you see is everyone risking themselves for a glance, a compliment, a whispered rumor. Even the perfumes shift on feast nights. Tonight you choose one blended with camphor and cinnamon, supposedly invigorating. The recipe is old, probably Moorish. But you heard a rumor that camphor can damage the liver if used too often. You've used it 3 nights this week. By the time you're dressed and powdered and scented and pinned, your body feels less like your own and more like a sculpture you've crawled inside. Your skin stretches, your joints ache, your lips crack again as you try to smile in the mirror. You smooth them with balm. The balm burns. And yet, at the banquet, you are luminous. Every glance confirms it. Nobles nod. Courtiers lean close to greet you, their eyes flickering to your face, their expressions momentarily uncertain, like they're unsure whether they're in the presence of something divine or something decaying, which, to be fair, is an accurate description. You sip wine slowly, carefully. Your stomach isn't quite stable anymore. You haven't eaten a full meal in 2 days. You're not hungry. Your skin feels flushed, but your hands are cold. You laugh at jokes you barely understand. You excuse yourself early. Back in your chamber, the mask begins to fall apart. The luminous cream has cracked at the corners of your mouth and beneath your eyes. The rouge has faded. The lead powder has settled into every crease, every pore. You stare into the mirror and see your mother's face, and your grandmother's, and every woman who came before you. They all wore the same poisons. Maybe not the same recipes, but the same illusions, the same promises, the same price. You begin to remove the makeup gently. Each wipe of the cloth reveals more of the truth. Your skin is no longer youthful. It's red, irritated, almost bruised. Your lips bleed when you press them with the cloth. Your cheeks feel like rawhide, but beneath it all, you are still you. The you who decided that beauty must never fade, that admiration must never stop, that looking ordinary is worse than feeling unwell. You rinse your face with rose water and vinegar. You pat it dry. Then you reapply the powder, just a little, enough to sleep in, enough to maintain the illusion, even alone. Because even now, in the silence of your room, with no one watching, you cannot allow yourself to look undone. You no longer remember a time before the makeup. You've worn it for so long, so regularly, that your face without it feels foreign, naked, vulnerable, exposed. The mirror no longer reflects a person, but a project. And each day, you commit yourself to preserving that illusion, no matter what it costs. Tonight, as you sit once more before your vanity, surrounded by your jars and powders and potions, the ritual begins again, not out of vanity, but out of necessity. Your fingers know the sequence by heart. The lead-based rouge goes on first, smoothing your skin into a matte white canvas. Then the mercury rouge, carefully applied to the apples of your cheeks. Your lips, cracked and sore, are painted with the same arsenic-tinted balm as always. You pause only briefly, as a trickle of blood wells at the corner of your mouth. You blot it with a strip of lace, then carry on. But tonight, the movements are slower. Your hands tremble more than usual. Your joints ache. You haven't eaten solid food in a full day. Your jaw simply hurts too much to chew. The tightness in your chest, once a flutter, is now a drumbeat. Steady, constant, concerning. Still, you continue. There's no room for weakness. You smooth your hair back, pin it into place, apply the glossing oil. You can smell the perfume already soaked into your sleeves. Camphor and myrrh, with undertones of vinegar and something chemical you can no longer identify. And yet, despite the familiarity of the motions, something feels different tonight. Your vision blurs slightly, not the dreamy soft haze of belladonna. This is something else. Your fingers grow numb. You knock over a small jar of soot with your elbow, and it scatters like ash across your vanity. Your maid rushes in, alarmed, and you try to speak, but the words come out slowly, slurred. Your tongue feels thick. She kneels beside you, her face pale. "Shall I call for the physician, my lady?" You shake your head. The motion makes your vision swim. You don't want the physician. You know what he'll say. He'll ask questions you won't answer. He'll tell you to stop the powders, to stop the rouges, to stop being beautiful. You won't stop. You are the beauty everyone expects, the symbol of grace, of refinement, of perfection. Your face, painted and powdered and gleaming under candlelight, is your shield, your weapon, your legacy. Historians still argue whether noblewomen of your time truly believed the cosmetics were harmless, or whether they quietly accepted the consequences. Some point to letters full of veiled complaints. "My joints ache," or "I tire easily these days." Others cite the prevalence of so-called ladies' weakness, a vague term covering everything from anemia to mercury poisoning. But whether through denial, desperation, or sheer social pressure, one fact remains: they didn't stop. Neither do you. Your maid helps you into bed, supporting your weight more than usual. You lie stiffly, careful to keep your head elevated. You know better than to let your face touch the pillow, even now, even like this. She dims the lamps. You are alone, and as you lie there, eyes wide and glassy, your breath shallow, your mind begins to wander. You think of all the evenings spent in preparation. So many hours, so many substances, so much pain. For a smile, a glance, a reputation. You think of the little jar you once dropped that burned a hole in the tablecloth. You think of the words whispered behind your back. Ravishing, they said, and also pale as a corpse. You think of your own reflection, fading slowly under the weight of powder and time. And still, you do not regret it, because in this world, your value was in your appearance, in the shimmer of your eyes, the sharpness of your cheekbones, the gloss on your lips. You turned your body into a canvas, your skin into a battleground, and your face into a legend. And what's a little poison for a legend? Your pulse slows, your breathing softens. You can hear the wind outside the shutters, the rustle of the bed curtains, the last hiss of the candle. You close your eyes carefully so as not to smudge the powder. You sleep, still painted, still perfect. Now the candlelight fades. The room grows quieter. The drafts that once danced along the chamber floor soften into stillness. The scent of roses and powder hangs faintly in the air, barely there, like a memory that refuses to leave. You lie in your bed, the mattress uneven beneath you, the sheets coarse from repeated washings. And yet, the silence begins to wrap around you like a second blanket. Your fingers, still sore from the day's rituals, begin to loosen. The tension around your jaw releases. The pain, though not gone, is quiet now, tucked away beneath layers of stillness and cool night air. Outside, the castle is calm. The servants are sleeping. The fire in the hearth has burned down to its last orange glow. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls once, then disappears into the night. You think of nothing now, no powders, no rouge, no mirrors, only the softness of the moment, the hush, the fading weight of everything you carried. Your breath slows, your mind drifts. There is no banquet tomorrow, no guests to impress, no skin to scrub or lips to stain. Just the quiet, just the warmth of the sheets and the coolness of the air. Just rest. Let the powders settle. Let the past dissolve. Sleep now.